Everybody, welcome to our October Manufacturing Monthly webinar. We want to welcome everybody. Want to remind everybody as well too, October is Manufacturing Month. Lorain County Chamber is proud to work with our economic development partners. We are doing a kickoff for Manufacturing Month that's actually going to take place tomorrow morning, starting at 8:30 at Skylift in Lorain. If you have not seen an invitation or are unaware of it, in the chat, I just put the link for that. You guys are all welcome to attend. We actually are planning on welcoming Marcy Captor, who's going to be in attendance as well too. So we're very excited about that, and we're excited to have Skylift. They are actually, after a few introductions and some talking and the tours, they actually are bringing in a food truck, and they're gonna have lunch for everybody as well too. So it's a great, really small, growing manufacturing company in Lorain. So we're excited to have them host. My name's Tony Gallo. I'm president of Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to do a real quick introduction to our partners here. Normally we have somebody on from Ohio Means Jobs, but they are, I think they're visiting a manufacturing company this morning and are otherwise indisposed. I know Michael Fitzpatrick Fitz is on from the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership. He's waving hello. He's got a newborn, so he doesn't want us to necessarily either us wake him up or we wake or he wakes us up. I don't know.
You want no part of it. You want no part of it.
Okay. And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bernie. Bernie's my partner in crime with these things, and this is our third one. If you've missed the first two, you are more than welcome to go on the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership YouTube page, and you can actually click and watch the previous ones. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bernie. She can introduce herself, and then I think she's going to get set to have you guys introduce yourselves as well.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm Bernie Goski from Lorain County Community College, and my role today is I'm working on a team who's managing a federal grant, and the focus of that grant is to get more people enrolled in earn and learn programs, and using that as a talent solution for our manufacturers in the Lorain County region, and as well as statewide. So you know, some people, our topic for today is registered apprenticeships, and some people may feel like, oh, that's kind of an old way of doing things, and but we're here to tell you that it's brand new. There are some really great advances that have been made in the registered apprenticeship space. It's a great opportunity to springboard off of the success of the trades in utilizing registered apprenticeship programs, and figure out a way to capitalize on the talent that may be walking out your door within the next several years due to retirements. And how
exactly.
Judith, can you
Judith, you're not on mute, Judith.
So anyway, but figuring out a way to utilize your extremely well-trained workforce to upskill the folks who are newer and coming in the door and can benefit from that wealth of knowledge that those folks have achieved over a lifetime of great work within the walls of your company. So at this time, I'd like to learn a little bit about the employers who are with us today. So I'll start with you, Terry. If you could just tell us your name, the name of your company, and maybe some of your talent needs, and if you've ever dipped your toe in the registered apprenticeship pond, or if you're, have other talent solutions that you're interested in pursuing.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Terry. Okay. Thanks.
Hi. I'm on my iPad, so I wasn't sure. I represent AJ Rose Manufacturing, and we have a few apprentice guys that are in the apprenticeship program now, and we're looking to hopefully grow that. So that's why I'm here.
That's great. Thank you. Emily? Emily, can you hear us? Okay, how about if we, oh, hi, Emily. I'm sorry, Emily, we can't hear you. Now we can hear you.
Hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm here. I literally just had to run to a conference room. My name is Emily Caballero. I'm with Component Repair Technologies. We do have a few registered apprentices and pre-apprenticeships here at CRT and Machine, and we have one in preventative maintenance.
That's
Nice.
great. Thank you. Lizette?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you now.
Marquez Majersak. I'm an HR director at Avian Corporation right here in Avon Lake, so in the Lorain County. And the reason I'm here is many of us have the challenge. We have several open positions in the manufacturing environment, and also want to hear more about the apprentice program. We do have it in some other locations outside of the Lorain County, but looking forward to also extend it in an Avon Lake facility as well.
Great.
Right.
Thank you. And Debbie?
Hi, my name is Debbie Sayre, and I work at Eberhard Manufacturing. We are in Cuyahoga County, but we have several employees that live in Lorain County, and I was curious about the apprenticeship program. We do not currently have anybody in a program. However, we have, many needs here. We have needs for press operators, tool and die, maintenance, several positions that are available. So I was listening in to see if that's something that we could utilize.
That's great.
Perfect. Thank you. Lori?
Hello, I'm Lori Springer. I work at Neograph Solutions in Lakewood, Ohio, and we currently have some maintenance apprentice candidates in the Tri-C program. So just looking to learn a little bit more about the LCC program and kind of maybe expand our apprenticeship program here with that, or some other areas of our plant that we feel we could utilize that type of assistance in.
Okay.
Perfect. And John?
All right, making sure I'm the only John on here.
Yeah.
John Gallagher. Yep,
Sorry.
it's you.
So I've worked with Chrissy in the past. We've got maintenance apprentice. Right now, it's kind of a unique type of a situation where we have we're out in Mentor, Ohio, but he lives out that way towards the university. So it's worked out really well. But I've got my colleague Emily on the call as well. And we've been looking at expanding apprenticeships across our business here in a variety of different areas. And I'm just interested in hearing how, what Lorraine's doing, and then what some of the folks on the call are doing as far as how you're looking at these apprenticeships. We just had a conversation Emily and I did this morning around the competency-based apprenticeships versus the hour-based. So interested if anyone is utilizing that. But we're trying to expand what we're already doing. We've done machining apprenticeships for years here. Mason is the individual we have through Lorraine on the maintenance side. He's the first one that we've done the maintenance apprenticeship with. And then we're looking to get into welding as well. So.
Great.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Have we missed anybody? All right. So this time I'd like to turn the meeting over to Chrissy, and Chrissy will be walking us through some updates about the Registered Apprenticeship Programs. Chrissy?
Thanks, Bernie. So hi, everyone. I'm Chrissy Cooney. I was thrilled when I saw the guest list today because I have directly worked with almost all of you. So that was really happy to see. John, I'm happy to see your actual face. I feel like I haven't seen your actual face in a while. So it's really great to see and talk to everybody. In hearing your needs as we did that introduction, I am going to go through my presentation, but I think ultimately this would be a good space to have some additional kind of conversations of, your specific questions. And so we can kind of expand on that because what I'm going to present today is very much just a reminder of what these registered apprenticeship programs are, because right now we're in a space with Earn and Learns where there are so many options and it's just getting kind of confusing to keep track of what options are out there and what the value is and all of those types of things. So I'm going to go through my presentation. Hopefully it's a little bit different than what you all have seen before. I did test out a new platform for this group because I knew it was a safe space because I knew all of you getting away from my Microsoft. So I am going to share my screen. Give this a whirl. Okay, so my role at the college is to help coordinate the registered apprenticeship side of the house. We developed this model about 5 years ago based on a grant from the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services that gave us some funding to directly impact businesses that wanted to take on registered apprenticeships, but didn't necessarily have the manpower to do the sponsorship behind it. So LCCC got involved to be a sponsor on record, and that is where our journey in this world began. So like I said, I'm a program developer. I have mainly manufacturing, but now IT as well in the areas of Earn and Learn, and it is growing. And to your point, John, we're trying to get away from the mindset of registered apprenticeships being super, super stringent and getting into more of those competency-based programs and some flexibility. So, there are 3 types of apprenticeships deemed by, the apprenticeship societies. And those are, registered, a school-sponsored registered program, or an entity-sponsored. Manufacturing Works as a sponsor. There are a lot of entities that have been blessed that could be sponsors on record. We're a school sponsor, so that's why I have it listed that way. You could have a company, the company could be the sponsor. So that can be an individual business and you're the sponsor on record and you track the paperwork and you deal with the state. And then we have the industry recognized apprenticeships, which have been around, then they left, and then they came back. So we're just seeing a lot of ebbing and flowing in this world, a lot of Earn and Learns, a lot of pre-apprenticeships, a lot of apprenticeships. The words are used fairly interchangeably in society. The hard part is a lot of us have mindsets as to exactly what an Earn and Learn is or what an apprenticeship is. So that's kind of where our role at the college is to help businesses. Most of your businesses I've come into, and we have these conversations of what you all need and what one of these makes sense. So, the differences in the 3, the registered apprenticeship is historically a structured apprenticeship that has to be approved through the state. We are a state-sponsored state versus a Department of Labor sponsored state. So our stuff does go through Columbus to get sponsored or to get approved. And it does result in a state-issued journeyman card. So that is the true difference between the registered apprenticeship and some of the other ones. The employer-sponsored ones, as we all know, they can be registered. An employer can have a registered program and you can maintain and control all of your own paperwork, and it can still go through the state. You can still go through those same processes. But the employers can also have their own apprenticeship. I mean, you can do your own Earn and Learn, and that is proprietary of your company. It may or may not result in that industry journeyman card, and that's a little bit of the difference from the employee standpoint. And then there are the industry programs that are coming back around, and those are definitely more customizable. They still have to have a lot of the pillars of a registered apprenticeship in terms of on-the-job training and mentorship and all of those types of things. So they still meet the high quality standards of an apprenticeship. They just have different signs, seals, and deals that they have to have done. So, the components of a registered apprenticeship program are fairly straightforward. You have to have a business, which is kind of a challenging part on the college's end, because a lot of times we have students come to us to say, I'd like to be an apprentice. And I say, do you have a job? Are you working with a company that would like you to be an apprentice? And oftentimes they say no. And then we work to connect them to you all that we know are hiring for apprenticeships. But right this minute, it's a pretty grassroots movement at the college. So it's a place we'd like to get better at. But we have to have a business at the table. We have to have, a company involved in giving them that on-the-job training opportunity. You have to have structured training. And this is good for a variety of reasons. One, you all as a company can say, okay, we know what is going on in the training process. You can duplicate it and you can hand it off. Like, we know turnover is high in plant managers and HR teams and all sorts of other school staff. So to be able to have that, structured document that you can hand to the next person and say, okay, this is what they need to do, really makes things a lot more efficient for companies. So the structured training, the related instruction. So students have to do in a registered apprenticeship program, they have to do classroom work. And this can be a little bit of a challenge because a lot of the students that want to be apprentices or working for you all don't particularly love the idea of college. So there has to be that component, but we do try to really infuse it with on the job, hands-on. We are very lab heavy at LCCC, and it's a blessing and a curse because the students love it because they'd rather be doing the hands-on work. It does make the program in most situations a little bit longer. So that's kind of the fine line we walk, but they have to do a related technical instruction through the classrooms. They get pay increases. And this is one of the biggest things that I tell employers people are seeking, and not millennials. There's no generation specific that is looking for pay increases that they know they're going to get. And when LCCC ventured into the world of healthcare apprenticeships, this was a major eye opener for healthcare because they would have STNAs and LPNs going from one place down the street for literally nickels and quarters. And so when the idea of a pay wage schedule came out, and they could see that after so many hours or so many competencies that they were going to get a raise, they did notice retention because they were giving huge sign-on bonuses. And then these people would still walk away because they didn't know what was in store for them. So having that to lay out there and say, if you do X, Y, and Z, this is where you're going to climb to. Really, 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 you overlook it when when you have the knowledge. So if you know an employee is going to get to the next point in 6 months, you might not think about it, but the employee that doesn't have that knowledge is going to go down the street. So the wage scale, and then the nationally recognized portable credential. So there is no denying that one of the most beautiful things about the registered apprenticeship is that state issued journeyman card that goes state to state. It is fully recognized. And it's really a point of pride at the end of these programs. So those are the components that registered apprenticeships have to have. Most all other apprenticeships are going to have these elements as well. It just kind of depends on the emphasis that's put on them or the documentation that has to go with them. So, the benefits to the employer in terms of LCCC being the sponsor. The benefits to the employer are that we administer the program. So it is a lot of state paperwork. It is a lot of sending things to Columbus and tracking things and keeping track of these. And if you're a company with 1 or 2 apprentices, this may not be a great use of an HR team member's time to deal with that whole bucket. So having us be the extension of your HR team, mind you, all the services that community colleges provide to you all are free. So we are consultants, but we don't charge you for all of these things that we do, which is the beauty of taking advantage of the community colleges. So we administer that. We deal with the headaches from the state. They are not in your business. And there are a lot of small businesses that really do not like the idea of anything being controlled or being viewed by the government or by Columbus. So the fact that we're the fiduciary and they are not in your business checking on things is peace of mind for some companies. It's certified by the state. Your journeyman card comes from the state of Ohio. It's got the state of Ohio seal on it, and it's as official as they can be. So that is a really nice, like I said, it's a nice clearinghouse, right? Like we know what has been sent there has been reviewed, and they don't just bless everything. Lord knows, I know because I send them stuff all the time. And then the class schedule. You know, one of the things that we work on here is providing options. So we are an overly flexible class schedule provider in terms of colleges. There are a lot of schools out there that if you want to do the apprenticeship program, it is very defined. It is Tuesday, Thursday, it is evenings, it is X, it is Y, it is Z. We go out of our way here to work with the businesses and offer classes that are at times that make sense for your employees. And so we do that in a whole variety of ways, but we are not a turnkey program in the registered apprentice, in any of our programs. We are just not a turnkey operation. So I think that is a huge benefit to the employer, because some of you have folks that are on, you know, second or third shift that if there's a night program is really never going to conveniently work for you all. So, you know, we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that our class schedule makes sense. And if it doesn't, going to our deans and our directors and saying, these are the needs of the businesses and we got to change this. And, you know, LCCC, I've worked at 5 colleges, and LCCC is probably the most flexible and nimble I've ever been at in terms of our offerings and listening to their business community. So, you know, a lot of people say, you know, why a registered apprenticeship versus all of these other options? And the conversation that I have with students or employees and with businesses is registered apprenticeships, in my mind, can be viewed similar to transfer credits at a college. So, you know, if you go from Kent to Akron, those 2 schools are blessed by the state of Ohio and have transfer assurance guidelines. If you go from a proprietary school to Kent, that proprietary school does not have to have their standards blessed by the state of Ohio. So Kent can say, no thanks, you can start over. So in terms of registered apprentices, that's how I view this. We have to submit everything through the state can view it. If I have an apprentice that starts with me here in Cleveland and then in a year gets transferred to their sister company down in Cincinnati, Sinclair College can go into the database, pull all this information and get them transferred and have them pick up where they left off. You know, we've had steel mills close. We've had things, you know, shut down that had apprenticeship programs in our area. And those credentials were proprietary to the businesses. And it caused students to really kind of have to be in an uncomfortable position. And a lot of really well-trained folks had to go back through and do a lot of prior learning assessments to get new credentials because they didn't own their credentials that were through the business. So, so that's kind of why I say the registered apprenticeship in my mind is that equivalency. Everything gets blessed. There are things that are transferable. There are ODHE implications in terms of, you know, making sure that, you know, our classes meet so many hours and all of those things, that there's just a lot of checks and balances, which is why it's great that we administer it and not necessarily the businesses, because it is a lot of those kind of caveats. So when LCCC is the sponsor on record, there's really not much that the businesses have to do in terms of tracking, except for the on-the-job training. So if a company, if LCCC is the sponsor on record, you all are really only responsible. You bless the program. You say, yes, we like this curriculum. We don't like this. There is a good margin of, we can change our programs and still have them blessed by the state a little more simply than I think sometimes people think for registered apprenticeships. So if you don't like a class, we can take it out. We can substitute it. We can swap your on-the-job training hours. We do have a fair amount of flexibility, but we need your help at the businesses in tracking that on-the-job training. We are not in your businesses. We do not come and say, yep, they ran that press. Yep, they ran that mill. That is where we need to partner with you all to work with your plant managers and to make sure that that documentation is getting tracked. I talk to my businesses all the time, and I'm not there to be the on-the-job training police. You all are training people that you need to be the best fit for you. So if you want to cut corners or have them do extra, that in my mind is on you. So I'm not going to come in and say, really you have 500 hours written down. I think you only did 455. That's okay by me. You all are in charge of tracking how you want. We can help you with best practices. We can offer guidelines and on-the-job training schedules, but you all have a lot of flexibility. We have had companies come to us and say, we don't have that machine. We cannot offer it. We don't have a mentor for that. And we can make those adjustments. The biggest thing the state is looking for is that you all help us track it so that it makes sense. So your numbers add up so we can see they're meeting the requirements. I am encouraging companies to shift towards competency-based work schedules, because we are seeing with the amount of transfer moving from one company to the next, and with the fact that people are learning at different and faster rates these days, the competency-based does make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. And then you're not tracking those specific hours. I only have 2 programs in healthcare right now that are operating on the competency-based, but we are encouraging our companies to move in that direction. It is a little bit more, I wouldn't say time intensive on the company, because you're actually tracking less, but you do have to rely on your plant manager or whomever is going to deem that competency as complete to fulfill that. And right now that's a challenge for a handful of companies who a lot of plant managers put the responsibility on the employee to do all of the hours of the tracking. So when you're asking them to make sure that they have signed off on a competency, that can be a little bit of a challenge depending on how vested your plant manager is, and they range, as we all know. So those are the 2 main questions that I get in terms of why registered and what does the company have to do. There are equations, there are standards. For a registered program, for every 144 hours of related technical classroom instruction, they have to do 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. So we will work with the companies, we'll work with the curriculum, and we will let you know the programs you're looking at, how many contact hours there are, how many related instruction hours. And that's a direct mathematical equation to how many hours on the job they have to do. Once again, we can alter this, but we can help you so that you're not going out there and having to kind of figure this all out on your own. Currently at LCCC, this is what we're looking at in terms of the registered apprenticeships, the employer-sponsored apprenticeships, and then our skilled trades apprenticeships that the trades unions are the sponsor on record that we're working with. So about 400 apprentices in general right now here at the school. Now, the tricky part to this slide is there are a lot of apprentices that I'm sure are out there at all of your businesses or other businesses that are only being utilized at LCCC for the related technical instruction. And that is no problem. We just sometimes don't know that these apprentices are existing in your businesses because we are not acting as the sponsor. So Bernie is, operates on a grant right now. I am helping support that grant. So if you do have apprentices that you have in your businesses that you are just sending to LCCC and not utilizing business growth services for, I would really, really, really encourage you to reach out to Bernie or I, because we can offer your businesses a whole host of things you may not be taking advantage of. Our team brings advising on site to the apprentices, to the employers. We do your admissions paperwork at the business. We will help take care of that. I think a lot of companies, they want an apprentice and HR will say, great, go to LCCC, sign up for class, come back to us, let us know. We kind of have inserted ourselves into that system so that now we are talking with the HR team and we're facilitating and streamlining things on the college side of the process. I've had companies and students come to me and say, I got closed out of a class and I need it for my apprenticeship, but they're nowhere on my radar. So I would never know to offer them all the services that I could in terms of getting them registered early or holding classes or any of those other things. So if you do have apprentices that you are the sponsor on record for, but you are sending them to LCCC for related technical instruction, I would love to have a conversation with you because I think there's other things that we could do to help and support and grow your programs. Currently right now, these are the 400 we know about. So that's why they are on our slides. You know, we have a lot of conversations with the employees when we come to visit either your facility or we have them, you know, we meet with them. A lot of times when we work with businesses, we will first sit down and we'll say, okay, let's have an information session with your employees. And we will invite them to an information session like you would if you went to a college information session. And we will share with them the benefits of being a apprenticeship, whether it's registered or not, because most times, regardless if it's registered or not, the company is paying the bill. So we will have the conversation of what the program costs. That's an employee benefit. So most of our programs are going to be between $3,500 and $5,500. So we'll say to them, that is something that they are paying for. You know, there are noticeable salary increases between the pay wage and between what you're worth then out in business. We talked to them about the fact that they're not going to have any student loan debt from this program, at least, right? I can't say to what they've had in the past, but at least from what they're getting themselves into now. And then we could talk to them about the fact that they're leaving our registered program with at least 2 sets of industry credentials. They are earning college credit. Our programs that we administer are for college credit. That does not mean to say you can't do an apprenticeship in a non-credit field. It just means that our registered apprenticeships are for college credit. And then they're also leaving with their journeyman card. So our programs are designed to put students on the track that if you would like to complete your associate's degree, you can. And that is another service that we can bring in and talk to your employees about. But we do try to be partners with the business, showcasing all of the things that the employer is willing to invest in them should they take the company up on this registered apprenticeship opportunity. So, you know, like I said before, we bring, you know, our admissions enrollment team on site. We do enrollment advising. Now, I will tell you, we do a lot of it this way. We do a lot of it with texting. Our adult students do not miss having to do in-person meetings for the most part. So we still facilitate it at your company or online. We still take the coming to campus out of the equation. Not that I don't want them to come to campus, but they just don't need to go stand in an advising line. So we can bring that all to you. You know, we offer a suite of services in terms of book ordering and continuing advising. So should you have somebody that completed their apprenticeship and then wants to go on to get that associate degree because they may want to become a manager, we can help them with that as well. So, you know, we know that all of your businesses have a lot of needs. Not all of them are apprenticeships, but a lot of them are in the world of training. We can facilitate those stepping stones for your folks, regardless if it's a bachelor's degree. We have university partnership programs with masters. So we can help them build on their curriculum that they've already established here. And then one of the other biggest things we can do for our businesses, registered apprenticeship or not, is we can help connect you all to funding. We know that funding is important. We know that it's a challenge, and we know that usually it's a lot of paperwork. Once again, an HR office may not have the time and the bandwidth to dig and research for 1 or 2 students. So, you know, Bernie and I and Tony, we are, you know, actively working, you know, Fitz is on this call, Judith, we are actively working in the grant space of how do we connect our companies to these funds and how do we act as the fiduciary to make them easier for you all to receive. So that is a major focus of the college. It's a major focus of apprenticeship programs. It's a major focus of John Husted. That is one of our cornerstones of our office, is helping connect you all to funding. It's also nice on the students' end. They're not going to have a bill. They're not going to, you know, they're not going to have a bill on their account. They're not going to get, you know, sent to collection, you know, kind of all those things that a student might incur if they didn't have the support from the businesses. So, you know, that, like I said, not even, you know, registered. Yes, we have defined areas that we can help, but in general, in our earn and learn and registered space, connecting businesses to funding so you all can grow these talents and use your money elsewhere, wage increases, all sorts of other things is where we are really looking to help. So I recognize in my presentation that there were a lot of topics that we did not discuss based on the things you shared with me at the beginning. So I wanted to make sure that we had enough time to discuss or answer any of those questions on where we're going or how we can help recruit just in this group chat. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I would love to hear, you know, kind of what, you know, your needs are, or, you know, what you're hoping that we could potentially help you all with, because I guarantee there's probably an option. to put every option in a PowerPoint would be a little overwhelming. So with that, Bernie, I'll turn it back to you to facilitate, Q&As, and I'll be here to answer.
Great, thanks. So, there was a lot of information that was shared there, and appreciate all that, Chrissy. And I guess, one of the main talking points there is that there's support out here to help you. Not only do we have support at the college, we have the support of the Ohio Means Jobs, Lorain County Ohio Means Jobs, to help with funding. We have federal funding through the United States Department of Labor. And just as an FYI, that's not going to stop. Under the Biden administration, registered apprenticeships are a big deal. And we can expect this model to expand as we move forward, which means that funding for these types of programs will be coming down the pipeline, pretty regularly. And L3C is generally right out in front of getting those applications in for funding. So, just thinking about the folks that we have on the call today, what do you, for some of you who have registered apprenticeships right now and are looking to expand, what does that really mean? Are you looking to, we have 2, but we'd love to get to 10, or is it we have 2, we'd like to get to 3? What's happening at your entry level? Are you, as you are recruiting people into those entry level positions, what's the timeline that it would be before you could identify them as a potential apprentice within your organization? And what can the college do? How can we work better together, as Chrissy began the conversation, to identify folks that we currently have in training programs who'd be a great fit for some of the opportunities that you guys have for Earn and Learn programs. So I don't know if anybody wants to just unmute and kick off the conversation.
None of these folks are very quiet when I go visit them. Maybe everybody's having a quiet morning. There are areas in, John, you had mentioned the competency-based, that's an area that we would really love to help get off the ground a little bit more. It's a place we also need the company's help with, right? So I don't know, as a college provider, what those competencies sometimes should look like, right? I can look at course outcomes, I can look at job descriptions, and I can do my best. But I rely on, like Judith is on our team. I rely on her going to her to say, can you help me track down these competencies? Like, what does a general competency look like for this job? So I think from my perspective, that's kind of what's holding us back a little bit in doing more of those. Is we need that input, collectively, that people can agree on collectively in terms of the competencies.
And it would be great to pilot something in advanced manufacturing based on the work that you guys have already pursued with healthcare. And it feels like there's some folks on this call who could take that journey with us.
Yeah, I think to that point, Chrissy, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. I know Emily just sent a note to our state rep this morning asking for some information around what their needs are. Unfortunately, the state is not quite as responsive as Lorain Community College has been our experience. So I'm having some trouble. We do pre-apprenticeships as well, and we're having some trouble with them trying to get the ball across the line with one of the schools that we're working with out here on that, one of the high schools. So but we're very interested in this competency-based. Anybody who's done a competency model or matrix or analysis for a position or a series of positions or an entire company knows it is a massive amount of work. So I'm sure that's been the hesitation for some of the folks that are working with you. It's a lot of work, and you have to be willing to, to put the work in as a business on, what exactly do these people need to know? What do they need to do? At what increments are those things important? And it's, there's just no shortcut. The end result, I think, is a lot more valuable, not just for the apprenticeship, but for lots of other reasons for HR. Performance metrics, the succession planning, skill gap analysis. There's a bazillion things that you can use that for. But we'd be glad to contact you, and maybe we can connect on this. Even maybe use our maintenance situation as an example, because we've got some other folks that I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do with that are ready to go into an apprenticeship in that area.
That makes me wonder if we could, we work closely with Apprentice Ohio a lot. And I'm wondering if we could contact Becky DeMattis at Apprentice Ohio and ask her to pull some competency-based models for maintenance and as a starting point. So you're not starting from ground zero on that. It seems like others have done this work, and we should be able to benefit from some of that in sharing some of those models. Same with OJT lists. Create some OJT lists so that at least we can present those to the companies, and you can say like, no, yeah, add this, but you're not starting with a blank piece of paper to say like, what would on-the-job training look like? It's pretty standard what those competencies are and how they're matching up with the learning outcomes that are part of the related technical instruction.
And Chrissy, as you pointed out, I mean, we through the sector partnership have done some job task analysis, begun to look at what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities a company would like to see at different levels in a job classification. So some of that certainly could inform doing as Bernie just said, and looking at how do we document those? How would an employer or a supervisor check those off in terms of a competency-based approach? And the other thing too is the whole idea of structured on-the-job training, which does help in terms, if a company has that, it helps in terms of them getting funding from Ohio Means Jobs, for example. So getting companies to think about those approaches, and then from the college perspective to look at where are the resources out there already, because as Bernie said, it's been done in other places and we can learn. Sinclair has some great stuff down in the Dayton area that we could borrow from. So I think it's just a question, like you said, of finding out who would like to try and figure that out. And then as I said, we can certainly take the work from our sector partnership as one of the first steps in figuring that out.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Because I want to be respectful of everybody's time as well, too. So I'm not hearing any. I didn't see any in the chat. I did post the link for the Manufacturing Month kickoff in the chat. So you guys are all welcome to attend that tomorrow morning. We look forward to having you there for sure.
Tony, I did have
Yes.
one question. Sorry.
Sure.
John,
Okay.
You mentioned that you're working with the school out in your area on the pre-apprenticeship. Can you share, because I've been working with the superintendent at Auburn and Dave Cohen to look at what's happening out there to see what we might bring to Lorain County. So can you share which school you're looking at on the pre-apprenticeship side or working with?
Auburn.
Oh, is it Auburn? Good.
So we have one approved through Lakeshore Compact,
right?
Which, if you're familiar, they're not a CTE school, but
right.
Well, technically they're a CTE school, but so they're a collaboration between some school systems here to get folks that training. So that one, the one that we have approved through Lakeshore, we're working mostly with Menor High School
Great.
And they've got an instructor that does the classroom training at Lakeland Community College.
Yes.
So that's what we're, so that was our first one on the pre-apprenticeship. And we're about 2 years into that. So we had our first, so we had the first group through last school year, 2 juniors and 1 senior. The senior stayed on, so he is has moved into apprenticeship status with us, and that's going really well. The juniors, one of them returned, and he's back in here as well. So this will be kind of like year 2. Actually, it's year 2 for them, and year 2 we got the approvals together. So we kind of worked with them together to get that approval through the state. And then Auburn, I tried to do the same thing and to take that program to Auburn to get that, you know, to try to work with their existing machining program. And there's a lot of confusion, I would say, in the educational community around exactly what a pre-apprenticeship is.
Absolutely, yes.
So that was the first hurdle with Auburn is, you know, I had met with Brian Bontempo originally, and I don't know that he was fully aware of, you know, what was going on. It's a very new concept.
It is at the high school level. Yeah.
So, but to me, you're already doing these things, you know, so that it's, you know, it didn't really seem like there would be much work from a curriculum standpoint or anything from that standpoint to get folks, you know, kind of approved in a parallel track. And it's a graduation pathway.
Right.
So anyway, we're close. I know Emily's been emailing back and forth with our state rep to try to push things from our end. So even though the agreement is really on their end, we're trying to help them. You know, they used our agreement with Lakeshore to try to mock up their agreement that was submitted to the state. And then our articulation agreement is really kind of like the same exact thing that we use with Lakeshore.
Well, I'll check in with you later on to see how it's going, because I'm going to be going out to visit some schools in Lake County, probably end of the calendar year, you know, because there's some stuff going on in some of the high schools, like I said, I want to look at. So that fits in very well because, as you said, it feeds right into the apprenticeship, and having some of that here in Lorain County would be great.
Yeah, and if you need us, Judith, to connect with anybody from your team, or you guys are talking with employers or schools that are curious about the pre-apprenticeship, we've done a lot of digging on that over the last couple of years. And, you know, I am a huge proponent of pre-apprenticeships. And I do think that this is going to be the future of, you know, where the CTE school, the community college, you know, the employer and the students from the high schools all kind of connect. And it just makes sense. You know, you've got a strong commitment from the parent, the student, the school, the employer, you know, all as a junior in high school. And by the time they graduate, to me, it's no different than the College Credit Plus type of a program. You know, they're already halfway through their apprenticeship program.
Right. Well, and like I said, I don't want to take everyone's time. I know Tony is looking at the clock.
No,
but...
you know what? I was going to see if John wanted to join the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership because, you know, it's great to hear somebody in manufacturing talk with such passion about what you see as the future and what you think should be happening, and that what you think would be successful for not just the company but for the students.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would agree. And sure, John, anytime you guys want to bring your whole model out here, it would be great. But I do think too, and Chrissy and Bernie and Tony, I think we may want to continue as I continue to look at this on behalf of our sector partnership. At some point, maybe take John up on that offer and do a webinar, and he can share the successes they've had so far. Because I think Aviant's on the call, and they certainly would be a good candidate for that. Certainly, you know, Nord's and some of our bigger companies, but also some of our smaller companies like AJ Rose. So I think it's just a question of figuring out how we can take your lessons learned and let them happen out here.
Yeah, I agree.
So baby fits. I just want to bridge onto that and let everybody know, Alliance for Working Together and Juliana Petty will be speaking with the same group. Our next manufacturing
Oh,
monthly
good.
Okay. Yeah.
is AWT, presenting the whole model of what's going on in Lake County and the success that they've had in getting C-suite buy-in from their manufacturers to really move the needle and to try to solve the talent issues for manufacturers in Lake County. And how can we replicate some of that in Lorraine County?
That's great.
So,
That's November 3rd, right, Bernie?
yeah,
Yep.
same time, 11:30 on November 3rd. So it'd be great if the a large number of the Lorraine County manufacturing sector partnerships were also joining us for that, and yeah, a lot of different manufacturers in the county, and we so much appreciate everybody being here today to join us.
And I
one of
see
the
that Sean just joined, so we have now,
the
the
baby.
future manufacturer here.
Really?
Only 6 weeks old, but
Yeah.
still looking at a manufacturing career.
So
What I was going to
cute.
say was we do tape this and it will be posted on YouTube. And one of the reasons we do that is so people who were unable to attend for whatever reason, we realized people's days sort of take turns. I couldn't even get on the internet for the first 3 hours of today. So there was an outage here in Elyria. So, they all are posted on the Lorraine County Manufacturing Sector Partnership YouTube page. So everybody who signed up to attend today will receive a link once I get that posted up there. So, and John, I did 3.5 years time in Menor. So I'm my wife's from out that way. So, it's great to see and hear some good things. And, there's a lot of similarities, we're that county that's on the opposite side of Cuyahoga. We've got great community colleges. We've got good career centers, and we work really, really well together. I know Lisa Hudson, who runs the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center at Lorraine County Community College, deals a lot with the one that is out at Lakeland College, Lakeland Community College too. So it's all good. With that, I guess I will tell Tammy she can stop the recording, and we will let everybody get on with their day. Thank you, Chrissy. I thought it was a great presentation, and thanks for kind of pivoting to, be able to talk about some real specific things. That's very much appreciative.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks.
Great.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.